What's up guys, this is Dino here, and today I'll be adding the next part to What If Red joined Team Rocket. It's been a while since we dove into the story, and I suggest that you watch the previous parts because it will be quite difficult to understand the story. And before we begin, make sure to join the Discord. We are currently at 37 members and I have I think 600 something subscribers. So I believe that the number should be a lot closer. Like I never ask anyone to subscribe anymore because, like I said, I don't really care about subscribers or views or that shit. But I want to build a community around Pokemon and just storytelling in general. And the best way to do is by a Discord server. So make sure to join the Discord. And without further ado, let's begin. Party Fred joined Team Rocket, Part 5. In the last part, we left off with Red defeating Lieutenant Surge and trapping him in a sand tomb, after which he was arrested by the police. And as Red made his way back to Cerulean City, he was confronted by none other than Giovanni himself. As Red saw Giovanni, his mind raced to all the possibilities that he could be here, because of which he could be here. For a second, he thought that Giovanni had figured out Red's entire plan about him being Shadow and how he has been ruining Team Rocket's plans under their nose. But to his surprise, Giovanni greeted him warmly and asked him how the mission went. Red replied by saying that the mission went really well and they were able to capture the Clefairies. Then Giovanni updated him about the situation with Lieutenant Surge and how he was captured by the police. And Red told him that it was a shame and asked Giovanni if he had someone planned to take over the Vermilion City gym in the meantime. Giovanni told him that that's out of his hand, and most probably the Pokemon League will be sending their own trainer to take care of him. But he tells Red to be rest assured as he will find someone to take over the operations in the Vermilion City itself. As for him, Giovanni has a really important task, so they should head over to their hideout. As they make their way towards the Team Rocket hideout in Cerulean City, Giovanni introduces Red to one of the Rocket admins. His name is Archer. Archer greets Red and tells him that he's an alumni of the Foundation himself, and it always pleases him to see other trainers graduating from that program. Giovanni tells Red that for this mission he will be working under Archer, and this is a very important mission, so that's why Red has been picked as a part of the team. Archer then goes on to brief him about the mission. This involves heading to the Kanto power plant, and there they are going to try and capture the legendary Pokemon Zapdos. As through sources, they have found out that Zapdos occasionally comes here to charge up its electric energy. So this would be a perfect time to surround the abandoned power plant and attack Zapdos with all sides surrounded. Thus, and with a legendary bird in their arsenal, Team Rocket's firepower will increase drastically. After that, Giovanni leaves, and Archer goes on to explain the further details of their plans to Red. He then introduces Red to the other members of the team. They are Jesse, James, and a Meowth, who is apparently able to talk. He looks at Red and he critiques him by saying that he thought that the Foundation would produce better members, just like Archer, and Archer tells Meowth to shut it and cooperate with the team members. Archer tells them that they will be heading over to Route 9, from where they will split up and decide the further course of action. After arriving at Route 9, Archer tells them that they will all head towards the power plant from different directions so as to avoid any possible police follow-ups. He then tells Red that since he is a part of the Foundation, he has the necessary training required to cross caves and mountains in a short amount of time. So that's the reason why he will be traveling through the rock tunnels. As for Archer, he will be taking the water route to the power plant, and Team Rocket will take the land route. So with that being said, they all separate as heads over to the rock tunnel. As he's at the entrance, as he enters the cave, a certain ominous presence follows him inside. Considering that Red would take a really short amount of time to cross the cave, he decides to get some training in while he is at it. He uses this opportunity to train his Weeping Bell and his Duck Trio against the native rock types of the region, and they are able to make short works of the wild Pokemon, leveling up a bit. As Red is busy in his training, he notices that there is a thick fog covering the entire area. He tries to dispel the fog using using Weeping Bell's Razor Leaf, but it works to no avail. And just then he notices something creep up from within the fog. It was the same Gengar that has been tormenting him all this time. He decides to end this once and for all and catch this Gengar right here and now, so to prevent it from attacking ever again. He orders Weeping Bell and Ductrio to both attack, but Gengar simply dissolves into the fog and dodges most of their moves. He then uses a hypnosis attack which puts Weeping Bell and Ductrio to sleep. Red desperately tries to wake them up and reaches into his bag to pull out an awakening spray. But before he could do that, the Gengar uses a Dream Eater attack to sap away their energy and knock them out. This is where Red realizes that this Gengar is at a very high level, because otherwise it would not have been able to defeat two of his Pokemon at the same time, that also with such ease. He sends in Sneasel, and Sneasel immediately goes for an Icy Wind which clears the fog away. Sneasel then follows this up with an Ice Shard attack, which causes some massive damage. Sneasel is battling on par with the Gengar, however the Gengar uses a Shadow Ball straight at Sneasel. As the battle continues, Red soon realizes that the Gengar is even more powerful than his Sneasel also. So he decides that the best way to combat it is by escaping. So it sends out a wheezing, sends out his coughing, and it uses a smoke screen attack. And this diversion allows Red to escape. He uses Sneasel's ice type moves to create an thick layer of ice in the route, thus preventing the Gengar from following them. Gengar tries to phase through the wall, but the wall is too cold and too thick for it to do. So it decides to retreat also and wait for the next turn to harass Red. As Red makes his exit, he finds that Jesse, James and Meowth are already waiting for him. They once again mock him by saying that they thought that the Foundation graduates would cross the cave in no time, and by the looks of it, Red looks like he just saw a ghost. Red decides to humor them by saying that they are absolutely correct, and Team Rocket is puzzled to hear this. After this, they make their way to the power plant, where they are greeted by Archer. Archer tells them that they are late, but it does not matter, as all of them are here and he made sure to clear all the security up before arriving here. As they enter the power plant, Archer tells them that they will all split up here, and as there are four separate generators in this area, and they will plant their own magnets into those generators, which will create an odd magnetic field, and this field will severely weaken Zapdos' electric type attacks, making it easier for them to catch it. But he tells them to beware, as the electric Pokemon found here are really hostile and really powerful. Red thinks it would be a perfect opportunity for him to capture an electric Pokemon for himself. As they all split up once again, Red makes his way to the first generator assigned to him, and is immediately confronted by Magnemites. He sends out his Weeping Bell and Sneasel to battle them. Weeping Bell immediately uses sleep powder before Sneasel could battle them, and this puts them to sleep. Sneasel is angry at Weeping Bell for stealing its skill, but just then a Magneton appears. Red tells them to be careful, but before Weeping Bell could attack this time, Sneasel leaps in and connects with a brick break, taking out the Magneton. This is then followed by a scuffle between Sneasel and Weeping Bell, with Red having to separate and scold them both, recalling them both back into his Pokeball. As Red walks away, Meowth notices him from the corner of the power plant. Meowth has been following him this entire time, and when he notices that Red has Pokemon other than the Ekans and Koffing assigned to him, his suspicion rises. Red then encounters an Electabuzz, and by the looks of it, this Electabuzz is of a really high level, so he decides this would be a perfect addition to his team. He sends out his Dugtrio to battle him, and the Electabuzz instantly fires off a Thunderbolt. But this Thunderbolt was not aimed at Dugtrio, it was aimed at Red himself. So Dugtrio has to use a Sand Tomb to defend Red. It then once again uses a Sand Tomb to try and trap Electabuzz, but it uses a quick attack to cause some major damage to Dugtrio. Dugtrio retreats using Dig, and it surfaces and hits Electivire with a massive attack, sending it crashing upwards. Electivire is able to maintain his balance and connect with a Fire Punch attack on Dugtrio, but this gives Dugtrio enough space to connect with a Sand Tomb, trapping Electabuzz and thus resulting in its capture. This means that Red now has 5 Pokemon apart from the 2 assigned to him by Dream Rocket. After this, they all gather at the center point where they install the remaining magnetic fields and wait for Zapdos to arrive. And soon enough, Zapdos does arrive, and immediately Jesse and James send out their Arbok and Weezing. Red scans these Pokemon in their Pokédex and realizes that these are the evolved form of Ekans and Koffing. However, they are no match for Zapdos, and despite its power being severely weakened due to the magnets, Zapdos is able to use 2 powerful Thunderbolts to take the poison type out. But this was merely a distraction, as Archer uses a rubber net to trap Zapdos. The rubber results in Zapdos unable to use its electricity at all, and then Archer instructs Red to send out his Pokemon. Red sends out his Koffing and his Ekans, and Archer sends out Rhyhorn. Zapdos desperately tries to connect with a Thunderbolt, but this results in the Thunderbolt flying in all sort of different directions, and not at their targets. Although Red is not hit by a Thunderbolt, he pretends to be hit by it, as he flies off, and takes the chance to recall his Pokemon back into their Pokeballs. Archer sighs and says that he has to battle the Zapdos himself, as he orders Rhyhorn to use Rock Blast attack at the electric bird. The Rock Blast hits, and Zapdos is unable to do anything. This continues on for a while before Zapdos is severely weakened and smashed into the ground. Archer prepares an Ultra Ball, trying to capture the Zapdos, but just then, 2 slices appear on the rubber net, cutting it in half. Then, a Scyther and Red in his Shadow costume emerge from the corner. Archer immediately recognizes Shadow and tells him that he was supposed to be his next assignment after the Zapdos incident, and now he gets a chance to avenge Lieutenant Surge. Shadow tells him that he will end up the same way as Surge did, as the battle begins with Scyther and Rhyhorn. Rhyhorn once again uses the Rock Tomb attack, but Scyther is able to cut through them using Steel Wing and hit Rhyhorn head-on. As they continue their battle, Scyther seems to have gained the upper hand little by little, despite being at a type disadvantage. But just then a huge explosion takes place, which sends all of them flying away and destroys the entire power plant. As the debris clears, it is revealed that Zapdos has escaped its binds, and absolutely destroyed all the magnets and the rubber cage, meaning that it can now use its electricity to the full extent. But even then, it's severely damaged. But Archer does not have a Pokemon in hand, and it's just a sitting prey, and he's just a sitting prey for the legendary bird. But just then Red's Ekans and Koffing emerge and use acid and sludge respectively. This attack poisons Zapdos and forces it to fly away. Red then appears from the debris and apologizes to Archer for not being able to assist him in the capture of Zapdos. Archer, however, is impressed by Red and thanks him for saving him, and tells him that he will definitely send in a good word to Giovanni, as although this mission ended in a failure, they were able to find out that the legendary Pokemon are very beatable, and next time with a stronger force they will definitely be able to capture it. After this, Archer leaves, and then Red is confronted by Jesse, James and Meowth. Meowth tells him that they saw everything, how he changed into the Shadow outfit and how he has Pokemon other than the ones assigned to him. And Red warns them that if they even utter a single word to the Team Rocket higher ups, he will make sure to send them where Lieutenant Surge is, and that is in the prison. But they assure Red that they are not here to pick fights. They tell Red that they also have Pokemon in Team Rocket's arsenal, which they caught and raised ever since they were little, and they had to give them up. So if Red promises to help them get their Pokemon back, they promise to work for Red and help him achieve whatever he wants. Red tells him that he does not trust them, and Team Rocket replies by saying they don't trust him either. But this is an offer which benefits both of them, both parties. So he should probably act smart and accept it. Red thinks about it, and then he realizes that having people working from him inside Team Rocket would not be such a bad idea, as he could get some important intel without involving himself in those. So reluctantly, a peace treaty occurs between Red and Meowth's crew. Somewhere else, Archer reports back to Giovanni about the incident, and he tells him that Red was able to save him from Zapdos. Giovanni says that he knew very well that this small team would not be able to capture Zapdos, and this was merely a test for Red. Archer then also tells him about Shadow and how he interfered in their plan once again. And Giovanni tells him that he has a special weapon to deal with Shadow, as he calls in another graduate from the Foundation. This is the Unova trainer, Hugh. He instructs Hugh that now he has one mission and one mission only in Kanto, and that is to capture Shadow. And guys, that's where we'll be ending this video. Thank you for watching. Once again, please join the Discord. Let's get to like 50 members. I think that's really not much to ask. So, yeah, thanks for watching.